We are live with Mr. Robert Allen and Greg Slaughter, and Greg is actually going to share his story on how Robert's influenced him.
I can hardly wait to hear it.
Yes.
So when I was 17, I decided that I needed to become a millionaire for various reasons. And it wasn't really I wanted to, it was I had to. So for whatever reason, it became a must, as Tony Robbins would say. It was more of a must. So I started doing some research and trying to figure out what's the best and quickest way to become a millionaire. And then I saw at the time, I don't know what the stats are now, but at the time it was like 97% of all millionaires are in real estate. And so I started looking into real estate. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And lo and behold, probably about a year and a half later, here you come with nothing down, and you came to Tucson, Arizona. That's where you came.
Now, was I teaching it? It was one of my team.
I wish I could remember that, but it was 35 years ago.
I can't remember either. More than likely, it was probably a member of my team. And so they taught you in Tucson. You were 19 at the time?
I was 19 years old at the time, and I was a very late bloomer, so I was probably 5'4" and like 120 pounds soaking wet with bricks in both pockets. So, because I remember, and like I said, I can't remember if it was you or part of your team there. I just remember that I was there, and they were asking if my parents are there, and I showed that I was actually 18 years old to get in, and I paid to get in there. So, because I'd saved all my money to go to this conference. It was literally the second thing I ever bought in my life. The first thing I ever bought in my life was an Alpine stereo. I was a teenager. I bought the Alpine stereo for my Volkswagen Bug, and then the second thing I ever bought was
Nothing Down
Seminar.
500, 400, 500 bucks.
I don't remember how much it was. It was everything I had though. I had to save money for that. So I was just working at McDonald's. So I had to save money for that. So I went to that conference, and then I had to prove I was 18 years old to be there. And then I remember they actually pointed me out because of how young I was. I remember they actually pointed me out and everything. But then when I left the conference, I was going to go conquer the world. So I was ready to go. And it's kind of a funny story, what happened afterwards. So I was a little naive, obviously only being 19, for my first real estate conference. And so I took the book. By the way, I still have that workbook today. I still have it. So if I would have known this was going to happen, I would have had it with me today. But I actually still have that notebook from that conference.
How long after did you buy your first property?
Well, I attempted to buy it immediately. So basically, this is what happened. So I left the conference, and I'm going to go buy a house, nothing down. So I went to back then obviously they didn't have the internet, and the MLS was in the phone, like a phone book and everything. So I walked into a real estate office. You already know where this is going, right? So I walked in.
Shut you down, right?
There was these two ladies. I called them the older ladies, but they're probably in their 30s because I was like 19 at the time. So I went in there and I told them, I'm going to go buy a house for nothing down. And of course, it was a new concept back then. No, they didn't know it. I mean, everybody and their brother knows it back then, and nobody knew that. So long story short, these two ladies threw me out of the building. I mean, they literally just get out of here. You're a 19-year-old kid, you look like you're 14, and you can't buy anything for nothing down. So I left the real estate office, and in my head, what it clicked was that, well, the reason they threw me out was because I looked too young. So I literally looked like I was 14 years old. So I said, I can't do this without anybody seeing me. So I was still determined to get this done. So I actually grabbed the newspaper and started calling the FSBOs and see if I could do something over the phone where they would never meet me, so they'd never know how young I was. So I literally just started dialing the phone, and probably it was very, very quick. It was probably within 2 to 3 hours, I actually negotiated the deal over the phone using the techniques that you taught at that conference or the seminar. So now, unfortunately, it wasn't 100% pure nothing down. I needed to come up with a little bit of money. So, but it was a duplex in Tucson. And I remember I was going to take over the payments, and it was going to also provide me with the rent from one side. It was going to pay for the entire mortgage, plus like an extra $100 or something. And I was going to be able to live on the other side as a college student and put some cash in my pocket. So it was a fantastic deal. Unfortunately, I didn't have any other additional money because I just spent it all. All my friends.
On my seminar.
It took me months to save up that money just to go there. So I didn't have, and I don't remember exactly how much it was. It was probably, you know, $100, $200, whatever it was, to put this deal together. And so I couldn't, I couldn't come up with the money myself. So I went to go ask all my friends for their money. Well, they're 19, so you know what they were doing with their money, right? As college students, they're just having a good time. Nobody had the money. So I was like, okay, so I can't give up. I have to go ask my parents for this money. So I went there, and I didn't ask them directly, so I don't fault them, but I kind of hinted, like, hey, I have this opportunity. You know, it's in real estate. I can do this. I can do this. I just need a little bit of money. And they did what good parents did back then. And I was like, no, you need to go to college. You need a good job. You shouldn't be messing around in real estate. You can't be doing that. So unfortunately, I didn't get the money there either. And so I did not get to take that deal down, unfortunately, because I couldn't come up with the money. So, but I was still determined to become a millionaire, and I knew I always wanted to do real estate. So to answer your original question, unfortunately, there was a 13-year delay. It was, because that was in 1986.
Okay.
It was always in the back of my head that I'm going to do real estate, I'm going to do real estate. I went into corporate America, and I just put all my energy there to,
You went to college?
make money. Yes, I went to college for a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
But I was working with McDonald's at the same time. And I was raising quickly through the ranks, and I had the opportunity. I was going for a business degree and computer programming. Well, I raised through the ranks, and when I was 19, they asked me if I had the opportunity to run my own McDonald's restaurant. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go do business. I don't need to study business. I'm already in it. So I only went for a year and a half to college, and then I started running my own. So my college was McDonald's Corporation.
Cool. Good training.
It was outstanding training. So I believe everything happens for a reason. So that's probably, it's kind of, I was too young and too immature at the time or whatever, and I needed the systems training, and so I went through McDonald's Corporation.
Then you started doing real estate.
Yeah, so 13 years later, in 1999, that's when we got our first rental property. So we've had rentals since.
Where was it?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
In Las Vegas. Good place
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Till 2010, 2009, the market fell to
Right.
heck in Vegas. But anyway, so real estate, was that your first million?
Yeah, well, that was our first rental property, and then how we got our first rental property is actually we were living in the house, and McDonald's was relocating me to Phoenix, and so I used that as a perfect segue. It's like, oh, well, we already own the house, I don't need to sell it, so we just turned it into a rental property. Right. So, but I literally went back to your book and was reading how to do rentals and all that kind of stuff, and that's got me back into it, and then it was in my blood, and then we just took off from there. So.
And then how did